Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the latest BCS author webinar on AI in business. I'm Ian Borthwick, Head of Publishing here at BCS, and I will be joined today by Nuno Rocha from Siemens. We would have been joined by Sarah Burnett, but unfortunately Sarah is unable to attend today, just a last minute thing. But I'm going to be covering off a high level for her book and helping to facilitate the Q&A with Nuno, who will be presenting his case study on what Siemens did with AI in their business. So this is part of a series of author webinars, and if you haven't attended one before, don't worry, we actually have a YouTube playlist that is available online. This meeting will be recorded, or is being recorded, and we will add it to that playlist shortly, probably within a week of the event going live. You'll be able to catch up on everything there if you have any questions. And yeah, the next few webinars actually that we've got for the next quarter or so will have a key focus on AI. We have quite a few publications recently about the topic. It's obviously in the news, but it's also a good question about what different aspects of AI are coming into your professional sphere, and how can you ask those questions, get involved in the conversation around them. That's what BCS authors are here to help with, to help answer questions that you've got. So we will be running a Q&A at the end of this presentation session. So please do post any questions you've got into the Q&A box, and I will help to facilitate that. It should be working, but I can't quite seem to see it. If it doesn't work in the Q&A box, please add them to the chat, and we will move on from there. So without further ado, I will jump into a bit further coverage of the book, and then we can move on to Nuno at the right point in time. So AI in Business is the second edition of Sarah Burnett's first book, The Autonomous Enterprise. And it's really been updated and extended with more recent learnings. As we all know, AI is moving at a very fast pace, and the adoption of AI is changing how businesses working, and looking at different aspects. What's the impact for them? Where are the areas? Where's the problems that can solve within a business? So Sarah's book covers a lot of that. It's been written very much from a research perspective. From Sarah did a lot of research into this, working with different businesses. So there's a core area of principles, and then it has 4 case studies, of which Siemens is one, to kind of look at the key applications within different sectors, actually, rather than just single industries. So it's available on the BCS website. You can find it through bcs.org/books AI in Business, and I will post that link and a number of other links to the author webinar series into the chat, so everyone will be able to access it. And we'll also be posting a discount code in the chat for use this week to get a discount on the book. So starting at the beginning with what the drivers are for AI-led transformation. Again, I'm not going to go into a high level of detail with this, because that would be Sarah's job, and I'm fortunately not her. But the key to the book is highlighting the shift using AI from manufacturing automation to the automation of knowledge work. And the book very much examines the difference between these, and how things are progressing within businesses, how people get to understand the use of their data, and really look at using structured and unstructured data to enabling AI and transformation within their businesses. Examples of new ways of doing business include autonomous enterprises, using this kind of know-how for micro outsourcing, as well as moving from offshore to local manufacturing. And moving beyond that, it's starting to look at, well, how does an organization become a bit more autonomous? Looking at the different business functions, looking at how that would work in practice, and also learning how there's very much an augmentation role using technology within the human workforce. So here we have an outline of the 4 case studies within Sarah's book. Obviously, one is from Siemens Global Business Services, which Nuno will speak about in more detail later, but there are also coverages from councils and hospitals. And what we will look at the end of the case study is a little bit of a capture of some of the common themes. We won't be talking to those, but they will be available to look at on the video if you want to double check on them. And obviously they're covered in the book as well. So what I think that's a very brief introduction to AI in business. It is available from BSIS Bookshop as well as through other resellers. For now, though, I'd like to introduce Nuno Rocha and let him give us a bit of a preamble for himself, how he got involved in the project with Siemens, and a little bit more then about what the case study actually covers. Nuno.
Thank you very much, Ian, for the introduction. And for me, a pleasure to be here and to be also a proud head of product at Siemens, showing and talking about an amazing product that we have built that is called Bionic Agent. A little bit about myself. So my background, I am a software engineer, working especially in the bank and insurance companies, building different types of products and applications, especially with APIs, web services. But my role was evolving to management positions, to dealing with digital products, to working with data privacy, that I also on my journey took some part of it, and especially when the GDPR had to be implemented at the organization levels. And also I work as a business analyst to really work on optimization of business processes. Of course, touching a little bit of this point, of all of these points, I joined Siemens at the end of 21, December 21, exactly because of this product. It was my main reason why I joined. They were looking for a product manager to pick up this idea and scale and bring to life to the Siemens worldwide, and who knows, even to the external markets. And was exactly the mission and the purpose. And I thought it would be definitely a great growth opportunity. I'm located in Portugal, Lisbon, married with 2 daughters and super passionate about technology. And of course, I read every day the new trends, especially in AI, what is happening. Trying and hopefully today I will also show you how to demystify a little bit how the humans and AI will interact, and especially AI agents will interact in the future. If the jobs are really in menace, how we are dealing with that at Siemens when we are scaling these kind of solutions worldwide. So I would say that we have a lot of ground to cover. So Ian, I don't know if I should continue exactly explaining our journey so far. So when I joined Siemens, Bionic Agent is what it was named Bionic Agent very recently, because it started with an idea that was called a mailbot. So and why this appeared in the sense of where GBS was dealing already with thousands and thousands of inquiries every day. So customer service is one of the main core business at GBS. Of course, we work especially with human resources in finance, in controlling, in purchase to pay, order management, and of course, customers contact us in different channels, by voice, with phones, emails, tickets, conversations in chats, and of course, in a year, millions and millions of tickets are generated. In this case, I think we have more than 7 million, to be honest, today, when we are dealing with this kind of requests, and requests of all kinds, right? So the idea came to really build a solution that is able to understand written requests, right? So when we built that mailbot at the time, the idea was, okay, let's build a technology, a solution that is able to read text, understand text on an email, and try to classify the intent. So saying what is the purpose of this email. And then when I picked the product at the time, it was an idea, a pilot that was working. We said, but why now building an AI agent that is going to not just understand, but apply end-to-end automation? Going further on a target system, a third-party system, being able to understand the intent of the request and execute the task itself. So this is where our journey starts. Bionic Agent was born exactly to solve this kind of tasks, and to bring the productivity gain. So automating our business processes for productivity for the agent teams, definitely more efficiency on our business processes, and of course, in the end, customer satisfaction was always a priority. For us, we started developing Bionic Agent with a very simple machine learning model. And we started with a partnership, of course. We didn't start alone here. Microsoft gave us a hand in establishing the infrastructure. So Bionic Agent is a 100% cloud service built on Azure. But of course, with the freedom of building a super business application that allows us to have our own models, to have our own orchestration layers, and allows us to connect to different systems. So this freedom of being able to fetch data from a source system, transform that data, and integrate it into a target system, right? So in 2022, 23, we started to scale that idea, and we built, in terms of a product, building deep learning models to understand more and more business context, to understand more and more different types of requests. And Bionic Agent was assuming different, I would say, roles at the company. So starting with purchase to pay, being able to handle purchasing orders, then going to controlling and being able to support on financial operations. On first level of support, so answering to technical requests, or at least driving those requests to the right teams that had to handle them. And we were growing and building the product with several modules and being more productized. And when we reached 22, we were already able to process more than 1 million of requests, written requests at GBS. Of course, GBS, and it was not just a product for GBS. It was definitely a product for Siemens, and definitely and ultimately a product for the world. So Siemens started to look at it and say, okay, we need this for the business units. As GBS, as a shared service company that is supporting the other business units at Siemens, so of course, directly contacting some customers in several processes, we were able then to scale to other business processes on other business units, using in factories, using in logistics, in looking into licenses, into images. And that was also where we changed a little bit the mindset on the product. So of course, understand text, it's a core, it's crucial. But in the end, we had to take a look at other things, because when people communicate with us, yes, they will write us what they really want, but usually they send a document, they put attachments. And when these tickets were created, there was always that ticket that says, please take a look at the information attached. And okay, we need to look at the documents then. And sometimes people send different kinds of documents, images, tables, completely unstructured. So this is definitely a big challenge. And for us, challenges are our mindset and failing fast to get success quickly. So we were able definitely to bring more features to Bionic Agent, where we were applying DocIntel and we were able to retrieve data from those attachments. So at the end of 2022, Bionic was already able to not just understand a lot of context on business, written, of course, using natural language processing, using deep learning models, models for classification, for entity extraction, for prioritization, and having a superb orchestration layer that was deciding exactly what is the next action to be taken. So having these features of working with documents, with attachments, with images, we're able then to extract all of this information. But we were looking into the future already, because as you know, 22, 23, more or less, generative AI was getting more and more prominent, right? OpenAI released the first version of GPT. We were doing already some testings with GPT, and in the summer of 23, we used GPT 3.5 exactly to work on a very specific use case to prove that generative AI can help us definitely in solving these kind of tasks of classification, entity extraction, generating content, responses, summarization. So we realized that we could create even more features for this product. So this Bionic agent that is considered like a virtual team agent that is joining your team, that needs to understand your business, now it's able to understand the intents of the request. It's able to extract their important data. Now it's able to summarize, providing instructions, understand the tone of a message, so sentiment analysis, and generating the code to integrate with other systems or to provide responses to the customers. So the ultimate goal of Bionic Agent was achieved. We were able then to perform end-to-end automation without any human interaction in some situations, yes, but we also realized the importance of having humans controlling those processes. So that's why telling this story, of course, goes to the direction of how do we see in the future. But I will touch that point in a few moments. So at 20 and 23, as I told you, we put live the first generative AI use case using real data, using production environments. And of course, we have been proving internally the efficiency, the impact on the customer side, especially on these agent teams that were handling a lot of complex topics. And it was not so easy to have that adoption. Of course, people were really excited to see technology like this under the hood of a digital product that is able to be easily integrated in those business processes. But of course, some change management was required in some situations. In others, people were just afraid and say, this thing is going to replace me. And we had to say, no, the thing is, we want you to be more productive, right? So you will have a machine that will work with you side by side, streamlining what we considered repetitive, low value, but very time consuming. And when I was pitching the product several times and explaining the features, the capabilities, and so on, I said, relax. What we are doing is definitely is to become a better company. So you will be better employees having this agent working with you. So it can replace this kind of factual tasks, but it cannot definitely replace emotion or experience. Of course, when we applied Bionic Agents in these services, we realized the impact that we were bringing. 17% of customer service ticketing processing automated. Even if it's not fully 100% end-to-end automated, the big part of the manual task was covered by Bionic Agent. Of course, asking then to the human in the end to confirm the quality of the output. In the end, this is what Bionic Agent is doing all the time. So picks the data, transforms the data using for that machine learning models, generative AI, and several times we combine both to have the both to have the best of the both worlds, because in the end, with generative AI, there are some risks of hallucination. We can talk about it, but with machine learning models, we can control more on the accuracy. We don't promise 100% of accuracy, but definitely the accuracy we're having on understanding and extracting the data from those processes were more than 95%. So it was really, really impressive, the results we were getting there. And of course, naturally, we were reducing the time for the responses. We were reducing the time and the effort applied in handling this kind of tickets. And in the end, the teams were able to focus on other tasks, on generating value on other processes, and having, of course, always the human eye to deal with these complex issues. So this is what we say, the automation will take care of what is standard, what is administrative, but the human agents can definitely focus on the process. So I will take this opportunity to show you. And I would say that images will value more than 1,000 words. We usually say that. And I have just a very short video with Bionic Agent in action, and I will set the scene. Because, of course, I can talk about numerous use cases that we have implemented, but I think this one is very easy to understand. I will just quickly share my screen, and you will see, I'll put this in full screen, and I think you can see the video. Okay. So very quickly, this is a cash collection management team that is located in the UK, by the way. And of course, their mission is to collect money, collect cash, guarantee that the cash flows are working properly, and we have, of course, a lot of contacts with customers. And these teams receive, this specific team here, receive more than 10,000 tickets per month. Okay, they are not much, but they receive these volumes. And there is a particular type of ticket where the customers are looking for a copy of an invoice. They say, okay, I don't understand this value. Can you please send me a copy of an invoice? I would like to understand what I need to pay. And we saw that only these tasks were representing like 20 to 30% of their universe of effort, of data that they had to deal with. And the challenge was always the same. So they need to understand who is the customer, which invoice, the amount, the due date, and so on, right? And they need to reply to the customer. What they were doing. So we picked this example where generative AI, and in this case, Bionic Agent has a product itself, is working in their own ticketing platform, has an agent that has access to all the information, and how it can deal with all of this, all of this data. And awarding to the navigation, this is not an RPA. This is a backend solution that is directly integrating, so it's not a robot, it's directly integrated on those different target systems, and it can able to fetch the data, everything on the backend. So all this information happens in real time with no need of showing the images. So, but we don't want to say that this is just a magic or a black box where things appear completely transformed. No, but of course, we wanted to see the impact that we create on having the Bionic Agent working on this kind of cases. So the mission was set. Bionic Agent needs to understand who is the customer, what invoice is referring to, value, and due date. On the right side, you have this ticketing platform, like it's a Pega instance, if I'm not mistaken, and they are receiving the tickets. The tickets are entering automatically, and they need to be classified to understand the intent. What type of request is this? So for now, I will just ask you to look to the right side Don't look to the left side. Only to the right side where it says powered by Bionic Agent and Gen AI. The words are blurred in purpose because this is real data. Okay, so that's why this video is blurred. And I will play the video. It's so quick that I need to explain very, very well what is happening. So Bionic Agent needs to understand the intent, needs to extract the data, fetch that information, the customer and the customer details, the invoices that is referring, and all that information, generate the content, so generate the response and attach the email. I will play the video. So the ticket comes. We are entering now the ticket. It's already classified and the priority is established. The content is generated and the document was attached. 10 seconds. Of course, the last seconds are for the human to confirm. We didn't put this, of course, now we accelerate the left side because it's the manual part. I don't want for you to get bored with this. But the key message here is that we are still including the human in the loop because despite of having 97%, not having 100% of accuracy, we got 97% of accuracy in this process. We realized that this could be a risk on sending the wrong invoice to the wrong customer. So it's a good practice to have definitely the human in the loop. There are internal processes where those quality gates are not needed, and we can definitely fully automate the processes without any human interaction, and we have several. But when we are touching the external customers, when we are directly touching, it's definitely a good practice to have humans verifying what the machines are doing. Because with generative AI, of course, it has always that, they are always positive, those large language models. They want to please us all the time. They are always positive on the answer. And sometimes this can create some situations that are not good. So we are definitely controlling those processes, having exactly the human in the loop in the middle. And more recently, so since and with Sarah, I've been collaborating through the different stages. So the first NLP solution, then going to generative AI. And our last interaction was exactly to see what else is happening. And of course, in 1 year and in this kind of environment and these kind of products, a lot can happen, definitely. And a lot is happening. And one of the things that we faced is that as Bionic Agent is connecting to different systems, so different RP, functional mailboxes, portals, low-code applications, ticketing platforms, and so on, to fetch the data, we were listening to our customers. So what they are really in need of having this virtual colleague, they would like to see how it's performing. So we said, yes, of course, we would like, we have reporting dashboards where we are showing the performance of the machine and how accurate and so on. So we have built something that we call My Bionic, basically a front end that exactly to complete the full product cycle. So transforming a core backend product by its nature into something that you can interact with. And the purpose of My Bionic was, in the beginning, was very simple. Showing how the machine is behaving, showing the accuracy, how many items were fully automated, how much we are getting, the organization in getting savings, that specific team, what is the impact it's creating on the organization, what are the thresholds, the levels of confidence, what can we improve, how many tokens were consumed. So all of these metrics can be monitored on those reporting dashboards. But the customers were asking for more. They were saying, we want to have more interaction with AI. We have, of course, we have interaction in the beginning because we are training or we are doing prompts, supporting you on the prompt engineering because we definitely need the business expertise. and this combination of the business expertise with the technological skills, definitely it's a huge and amazing combination. But they want more. They wanted exactly to control the behavior of this team member. So the MyBionic, when we built MyBionic, was exactly to provide the accesses to those services in terms of how can I reply to a specific group of users. If there is an incident, how can I raise this incident? If there are rules assigned, because not everything is AI. Sometimes, and let's be honest, every business has their own specifications, their own exceptions, own specific rules. And we were covering that at the configuration level for the customer. So customer can also control that. Sometimes they use templates where they can control the language, how they want to communicate with the customer. So they can also control that, and Bionic Agent will assume that behavior, having that. And more recently, they asked for more. They said, we would like to definitely prompt and adjust the behavior and provide feedback. So if something is wrong, and was not well performed by the machine, I would like to correct. I would like to provide that feedback. So that's why that's my Bionic for those team of agents, but also for the staff in general, was created to fulfill those needs, but also to work as a platform to create more and more interactions with the humans, but also the platform to release new instances of new Bionic agents, and of course, already preparing the baseline and the field for the agentic AI strategy. So I don't know, Ian, if I should move to the AI agent, agentic AI, or if we go to the common themes.
So yeah, I think we moved to the common themes now. I mean,
Yeah,
I think some of the questions will actually lead on to some of the discussion, really, of
for sure.
what the future of the strategy is. I mean, as you described, it's moved a lot, within a year or so. So this slide really captures, from Sarah's perspective, what the common themes across the case studies has been, and you can see, there's a lot about building capabilities, supporting human decision making,
Exactly.
looking at the skills, etc. So there is a lot in here, including about ethical practices, and I think we'll get to some of those questions a little bit later. I'm just going to leave this up for now, so there's a little bit of time to digest before we move on to the concluding slide from that Sarah's prepared, and really just I think the question of where the strategy is moving is imperative right now, but that actually does cross over with one of the questions, like, was this originally a strategic initiative, and if so, did it need a business case? Was there an ROI that was
Oh, yes.
achieved, and how did you get it past the funders, sponsors, and with that, how is it developing for the future?
Exactly, and very important questions. And of course, on a product with this nature, definitely there was a business case, because in the end, we had to set up a team with some roles well defined. And at the beginning, we had just one Scrum team. So basically, the roles that we were adding to that team was exactly the product owner, a Scrum Master, having a business analyst to support on understanding the business processes, data scientists, and backend engineers. That was the core, of course, to guarantee that we were building the product. And we were building an innovative product at the same time that we were integrating new customers. So that was also considered on the business case, definitely, because in the end, we had to prove with real scenarios, with real data, having also the feedback from the business and controlling, of course, those KPIs, that we were delivering the savings that they were looking for. And I can give you an example how we calculate that. When we offered two main features, right? It was basically understanding the intent of a request. So how much time the Bionic Agent can save on understanding a topic, right? And all the businesses were assuming that someone can take 1 to 2 minutes to understand a topic. It really depends, because we have emails with threads of conversations and so on, right? So it can take really much more. But we said, okay, on average, 2 minutes, considering that it also contains documents to be reviewed or something. And to fulfill a task, like 5 minutes to perform the task. You saw in the video, it took for the human, and the human was focused, right? 4 minutes, right? So imagine multiplying this by thousands and thousands and thousands of tasks. So the business case was calculated exactly on this. How the Bionic Agent is taking few seconds to perform these tasks. In this case, of course, classification is really a matter of milliseconds. So it's really super fast. But when we go to end-to-end automation, it can take some seconds. And we use exactly those calculations. We have also the cost of the FTE, how much time we are saving. So we did the calculation of the cost versus savings, where in general the return on investment of these business teams, they had it in the first year. We had an example where with an investment of 50,000, more or less, if I can convert 50,000, 60,000 pounds, they will have a return on investment in the first year like 2,000 pounds, very short, but then in the second year, like 160,000 pounds. So this was just one example, and it was a really no-brainer. So let's invest, let's have also the collaboration and the bringing the business expertise to this, and let's make this live. And of course, it was very easy for the management to accept this risk and to move on. Thinking on, as you can see, the strategy, right? Yes, it was definitely a game changer. First of all, because the North Star of GBS and how we are valuing our customers, of course, we are becoming more and more a product-driven company. So so that's of course one of the mindset changes, or I would say the big pillars of GBS and Siemens overall, with the one tech company being more and more product-driven and going into product direction, and of course leveraging the technology here and the people. Definitely, it's crucial for the success. And Bionic Agent now it's all over the world at Siemens, so it's a global product. It's no longer a Scrum team, so it has a big growth, not in terms just in revenue or impact on the customer side, but also organically. So now we have a Scrum of Scrum, so we have several squad teams working for custom integrations and still in innovation mode. And that's why I will touch the topic of agentic AI, because a product like this, to stay relevant, needs definitely to innovate all the time. So despite being a major product that is solving real problems, it has its own journey to continuously grow and become more and more prominent in the future. That is why that we are looking into agentic AI. Just saying that we are not going to build something from scratch, because we don't need it. We have been working with AI agents for 4 years, 5 years. So Bionic Agent is the first AI agent at Siemens. The difference is going into agentic AI direction, we are going to use agentic AI frameworks to, when we are going to solve these kind of problems, where we are doing contacting directly a machine learning model or doing prompts to a generative AI model, instead of doing that, we are going to create instances of AI agents that are trained to execute those kind of tasks. So Bionic Agent that has today is an orchestrator of different workflows and different pipelines, is orchestrating different AI agents that have different tasks, different missions to plan, to execute, to validate, and so on, to generate code. And that's why, of course, I cannot reveal much more on this, but we have successful POCs where we have those agents interacting with each other, but we didn't have the need of changing the core of the product. So we are keeping the similar infrastructure, of course, evolving here and there when it's needed in terms of capacity, in terms of machine and processing capabilities, expanding the end-to-end connections, because it's important to have connectivity protocols to different tools, exactly to guarantee these data workflows. And then in the middle, instead of having just one AI agent that understands and is doing all the work, no, we have several instances of AI agents that are communicating with each other, that are experts in order management, that are experts in classifying purchasing order topics, or working with finance, or working with help desk or first level of support, with P&O, with people and queries about human resources. So the future is bright, definitely, because we can having this level, bringing this up, these AI agents to life, and of course with my Bionic, being able to even bringing more and more capabilities to the front end, allowing exactly the users to have more interactions with those AI agents and providing more feedback, and to have, of course, a natural communication, establishing these business workflows and guarantee that those agents are exactly fulfilling the jobs. Again, they are, we have always the human in the loop. That is definitely for sure our priority. But the skills of the humans are also evolving. So we also need to adapt to this new reality. When we have agents that are doing coherence checks on an invoice, for example, but sometimes they commit mistakes. And sometimes we need to provide more feedback and perform different processes to be able to definitely to bring and to have that efficiency and productivity that we are looking for.
Smashing. So in terms of a skill that one could be working on now, what is there any particular recommendation? So let's say the human in the loop remains as part of the processes, that the orchestration, the AI agents are able to pick up on specific domain tasks.
Exactly.
What kind of skill or oversight or kind of a mindset would best suit working in that kind of augmented environment or autonomous enterprise?
So there is I would say, a very important requirement. And what we are facing today, we are already living it. The agents that are on the field dealing with this kind of increase, and the team leads and the service line managers, they understand that data is crucial, and the quality of the data is crucial to work properly with these AI agents. Despite of what I told you, that our challenge of bringing unstructured data to a structured format, it's not easy, and people can write whatever they want, right? So what we are asking to these agents is exactly to pre-process, to prepare the processes. So basically, they understand the business, and the business also changes, right? Because the types of inquiries can change, the business processes change, the tools change, but their knowledge is there. So they can annotate, they can label the data, they can handle the exceptions, they can generate more ideas to maximize not just the productivity, but the capabilities of the teams when they are working with these kind of platforms, with these kind of solutions. And what we are seeing, basically, the workers are directly submitting the data, providing feedback, training directly these AI agents with prompts, with a natural conversation, building diagrams, so on a graphical way, defining the workflows and providing those instructions to those AI agents. Of course, all of this complexity is transformed into code, into language that is understandable by those agents. And they also need to monitor. So monitor the performance, so all the metrics, all the KPIs that are being handled there. And again, the complexity issues, the experience, the knowledge base, that part, despite of having Bionic Agent today, replying to frequent asked questions, because we can go to a data source and easily reply to a question. The experience and the emotion behind a question cannot be replaced. So the critical human eye needs to be there all the time, and especially when we saw hallucinations from large language models, when they always try to please and provide a wrong answer that can eventually cause some constraints, some financial impacts, reputational impacts, and so on. So definitely is necessary for the human skills to understand the behavior of these machines, being able to perform prompt engineering process, not really the pure prompt engineering, but really understand how to communicate, how to handle, to manage these kind of interactions with these large language models, and specifically with these agentic AI frameworks. And for that, we also establish an architecture that allows that, of course, with microservices, everything very modularized, with modules that the users can definitely understand what are they dealing with. And again, they will work with they will be preparing AI agents in their domain expertise. So they are creating their own instances of agents that are experts on order management, that are experts on purchasing orders, on accounts payable, whatever, right? Yeah. So that's the idea, but still with a lot of challenges ahead. Of course, people don't want to keep clicking on buttons and doing repetitive tasks. Definitely needs to change. And that. But when I pitch Bionic Agent, I never said you will be replaced. I never said that. Of course, there is a potential for replacing, definitely, tasks. These tasks, factual, straightforward. These FAQs, so things that are repetitive, that are easy to control. The others, and when we, of course, with this kind of technology, with this kind of frameworks, we can reach different levels of complexity. We will need always the human there.
We've obviously been on Q&A for a little bit of time, but there is, I guess, one underlying key question. Now, we talked about skills, and I think those are really excellent. But the key kind of questions that still underlies in building these systems for accuracy, timeliness, and basically efficiency. What should we be doing about best practices? Particularly with respect to ethics, to privacy, GDPR, to bias as it may appear, and
Exactly.
how do we make sure that that the people are competent and that there is a level of assurance? And I posted a little comment about a new UK government initiative towards AI assurance, which BCS is involved in, and everybody's welcome to be engage in as well. From your perspective, how is that working at the industry level from where Siemens sees it?
Well, at Siemens, of course, we are we have processes that controls very well the how AI will impact the businesses. We have what we call the protection concept, okay, and where we have cybersecurity, legal and counsel, operations. We have different domains involved. Every application, especially the ones that are using AI, in the case of Bionic Agent, they need to follow and reach several key points from those protection concepts, identifying all the risks, and of course on the AI developer questionnaires that we need to fulfill, and everything that we need to expose regarding the product. To reach, we have different levels of protection concepts. So there is a first level that like the basic and just for specific and where no personal data is involved and very, very business related, no data retention and so on. Then we have level 2 and level 3. And in level 3, of course, we go to sensitive data, content that are really confidential, and of course personal data involved. On the case of Bionic Agent, what we are doing definitely is not to store the business data on the core of the product. So yes, we need to retain some data to train, to test, to prove that the machine is having the right behavior. But that data is deleted. Once it's deployed, that data is deleted. Then in productive environments, and the majority of the systems, we are doing this. The business data, the transformed data, is always on the customer side. So what this means, the results of the machine and the actions that were taken, the situations that were handled, and the feedback from the user and so on, everything is registered on the customer side. And what this means, on the ticketing platform, all of those actions will be tracked and they are registered. What is on Bionic Agent side? The event. So we are not storing, for example, that Ian sent a specific invoice, that invoice in that day. But we know that Bionic Agent had to process that invoice in that day, and it was successful. So we are just storing the event itself. We cannot identify who it is. Of course, for I need to identify a customer, right? Because in the system, I had to know which invoice I had to retrieve. But that information is always on the final system. So that is controlled, of course, by Siemens. At AI itself, so these models and what is being prompted to generate the code and so on, all of these events are stored on Bionic Agent, but we also have a strict retention policy. After 90 days, all of those events are erased. So the information that we are keeping, we keep only on the dashboards. So these kind of measures, so to give you an example, are the kind of things, of course, that are assessed and evaluated by the different teams in order to guarantee that we are reaching the protection concept. And those protection concepts are revised every 6 months or every year, depending on the level, depending on the complexity of the solution and so on, and the risks that are identified. But in the end, it is more and more a priority for Siemens and for the business units that are building these kind of solutions. All of us need to fulfill these requirements. We cannot sell a product if it's not 100% compliant with all of these key points that we need to address on these kind of processes. So we also have like a very formal process before going live into an external market or going to a specific customer, and we need an approval from a cybersecurity officer.
Smashing. Thank you very much, Nuno. I think we're reaching the end now because some of us have a hard stop at 1:30, including Nuno. So I'd like to thank everybody for your questions today. If we haven't quite covered everything, there are a couple more, as I mentioned, webinars coming forward. The next one is on sort of digital solutions, which may cover off some of the input, process, output questions. The one after that in early October is posted. We'll be dealing with psychology and sort of cognitive bias, and we'll be able to review some of those key questions a bit further in detail there. And then we're moving on to AI testing towards the end of October, And also a new book on tech ethics is being promoted in early November through an author webinar. So there'll be a great opportunity to dive into sort of the wider realm of ethics as well. So just for now, I'm just going to recap on where we are. Obviously AI in Business, as written by Sarah, covers Nuno's case study as well as others. And it's available through the link you can see here. It's in the chat as well. And it also kind of covers some of these key principles about learning at a business level, some of the steps to take to take your business further with AI projects and how they can be rolled out. And I think Nuno, you've indicated there's some really excellent points about risk management and sign off and business cases and all the things we love in business when it comes to IT projects in the first place. Yeah, so if anybody has anything further, please do reach out to us. We're on publishing at bcs.uk. Sarah's details have been actually provided as well. Very much thank you to her for doing that. Thank you for preparing this presentation. And I'd like to thank Nuno for his excellent insight into all the work at Siemens GBS on the Bionic Agent, which sounds amazing. Thank you all for attending. And yeah, I'll just give Nuno the final word and then we can all depart.
Thank you very much. For me, of course, always a pleasure to talk about Bionic Agent as a proud head of product, definitely, but there's still a long journey ahead with several challenges. But I think we are living definitely interesting times as a revolution upcoming. But we are here also to inspect and adapt to become to also evolve in this new circumstances. Really happy for this collaboration, and of course looking forward to support Sarah on updating the chapter for the third edition or a fourth edition, because I think a lot of it needs to be said.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Nuno. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to seeing you in the future at the next or future author webinars. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.